And we're recording. Welcome back to the podcast, DQ&Q Lifestyle, with me, Marcus. And today we are going to talk about relationship instability. I will start off with Actually, you know what? Yeah, supposed to go with some food with my dad, man. But the man cancelled on me. So a little bit like sad at that. Wouldn't mind seeing him, but it's, is what it is, isn't it? You know what I mean? People have got things to do and stuff, and you know what I mean? This is what I'll be doing. I think I'll be doing a back-to-back one. You might see me in this t-shirt again. Need to hit the gym, my dog. Look at them arms there. Anyway, the last podcast about poor coping. Do you know what? It's just to say basically that man's not hammering man. I was talking about my brothers, and let me just correct. For people that are listening, I'm just correcting the camera there. Yeah, so it's not to hammer them, big up to them, I do respect them in their own ways, end of the day we're brothers, aren't we? So we push and pull, do you know what I mean? And we don't have the best relationship. We don't know, even I can just get into relationship instability now, so we don't know how to be a family. I just look back at my family now, and it's just everyone's family's mad, do you know what I mean? Like, what do you mark it against, do you know what I mean? But like I can see that like we don't know how to be a family. Like my brothers haven't really been brothers with me. One of them has, the middle one. So I was on about their addictions. One's not in addiction no more. One still is. And like I said, everyone's got their like reasons for that. So it's not to rag on them to say, oh, these man were doing this and that, and they're bad people. Like, people are the result of their like upbringing, encounters, situations. So. It's not excuses, it's reasons for, and it's the reason, like within like counselling, therapy, it's the reason you work with. But we're kind of taught that they're excuses. People should just be perfect and just stop doing whatever it is, like that, bang, on a Thanos thing. But it don't work like that. So anyway, that's my point a little bit there, but yeah. We don't know how to be a family. Oh, that's it. My brothers weren't really brothers to me. But then I've got some younger brothers as well. So I'm the youngest of my mums. So the older two are previous marriage. They're white. Because obviously mum and dad's both white. My mum's white, like English. And my dad's like Jamaican, born here. I'm the youngest. And then my dad's got 4 kids, I believe. They're all mixed race. I think it's to 4 mums. 4 kids to 4 mums. And I'm the oldest of my dad's, youngest of my mums. And I haven't been a brother to them. Never really kind of been around them like that. The family thing it was never family orientated. Like, bring them around, get to know your thingies. It was kind of plonked there every now and again. So there was this fractured relationship. The youngest, my sister, don't even know like that. And it's a shame, really. It's a shame. But like I say, it's just how you're raising it, and that's just how you end up. Do you know what I mean? Finding out like later in life that you've got cousins. I'm sweating bad. Just got out of the shower but don't watch the shiny thing. Yeah, I mean. But yeah, but who does, like I said, whose family is perfect? Who does like know how to be? We're all jealous looking from the outside in, but when you're inside that, they'll be like jealous of an ex thing or even your thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wish my people weren't so intrusive like yours. But I'm thinking, I wish I was like more included like you. Do you know what I mean? Like you were. So it's each to their own and that. But anyway, yeah, big up to my brothers still, Robert and Michael. And my younger ones as well, Anthony, Joseph, and my sister. I'll keep her name. She's young still. I'll keep her name out of it. So yeah, relationship instability. Yeah, so just growing up, you're seeing bare madness. Mum's on a mad one, dad's a madman, and these become your blueprints of how to behave. I always thought, I began to think that I never really thought I had mental health issues, yeah? But I think when I was in prison the second time, I hadn't gone to the TC, I'm thinking, do you know what, there might be something up because there's something going on. Like, and there was a time where I remember saying to my mum, like, I was in the kitchen in the yard, and I thought, I think I'm losing my mind. Like, it felt like something back here was like, just like, tugging, not on the skin level, like deeper in, something's pulling. But them times I was on like conspiracy theories and all this madness, and I'm smoking the ganja, I'm keeping myself like, I'm not really angry around my brethren and that, like, so you just start to go in like this mad world, you know what I mean? Some like warped reality, you're warping your reality, because you're not even like living the present day, because I wasn't doing anything, I wasn't working, I'm just signing on, boom, smoking, mad, living that kind of waste man life there. I was living a waste man life, not to that life's a waste life, but that's how I perceive it. That's how I keep myself away from it, because I didn't find that healthy one bit. That was not the lick. Anyway, and then on the TC, I'm going to mention it, therapeutic community, I started to understand. They said something about the blueprint, which I say now. Like the parents, Marcus took it as like family dynamic to see what the blueprint was to how he is now, and da. I didn't get it. I'm thinking, what? Like, mum was just mumming, dad was dadding, and brothers were just brothering. Them ones. But I started to understand. I started to realise that, like, so my mum, with a big up to my mum. Like I said, it's not a ragging thing. Any people that I talk about, it's not a ragging thing. I'm not ragging them. Do you know what I mean? I just need to tell my story, because my story could spark something in another person that's like on a similar wave. That's why I vocalize these things there, because that's what therapy is, especially group therapy, which I did. People sharing stories, thinking, raw, you know what, I went through that, or you know what, I've been through a similar thing, or I've seen that. I can, the ones there, like, oh, I haven't been in none of these situations, but I felt that feeling. That's what we have in common. I felt like that, the ones sad, hurt, neglected, abandoned, the flipping rejected and neglected. We'll get on rejection. That should have its own pod, really. So yeah, I started to realise that with my mum's anxiety and depression, she's behaving so, and the drinking as well on top of it. So obviously I was a kid, so my mum's was bigger than me. Then over time, I'm catching up and then I'm overtaking. But I'm behaving the same way. So I started to, like I say, it's gone from like, mom, that I said on the last pod, like, and I'd be crying and sad, and then that sadness, like, so rather than being sad for ages and all night and then wake up next day, so everything's kind of all right. Sometimes she wasn't doing this thing every single day. It started off like a couple times, then a couple more times, then most days, then near enough every day. Then it might taper off a bit when she goes really mad on some mad thing. Then she's like, son, I'll never do it again. She'll pour the last bit of drinks away. I'm never drinking again. Boom, drinking again. Relationship instability, number one, like not number one in any particular order, but one of them was lies. Can't trust you. Can't trust what you're saying. So these drinks getting poured away. These drinks are contributing massively to my sadness, my upset, my neglect, my abandonment. But you're choosing to drink and sit on the phone chatting to like all these these other people, these other women, your friends and that and family. You'd pour the drink away. You're saying I'm going to do it again. Boom, you do it again. I've got trust issues straight away. I can't trust you. I can't trust what you say. Anything you say is a lie. I'm internalizing. I'm not really realizing it, but I'm internalizing this. Obviously, I would say every now and again, you're lying, you're always lying, and that's what the always lying was. Obviously, she was. That's an absolute thing that I'm saying, always lying. No one's really always doing anything, but we do absolute things. And that's like a mental health kind of issue. Like, it contributes to mental health, like being an absolute, like, that you're always doing this, you're always doing that, or telling someone like you never do this and you never do that. Like they're not never, but the times that they don't impact you quite largely compared to the little times that they do the thing that you like. That's quite minuscule. That's just a little grain of sand. Like when they don't do something, that's a big, massive fucking moon-sized asteroid licking. Do you know what I mean? But it's, you know what I mean? It's just how we feel towards things that are like changing the measure of things. And like I said, this is like all happening mentally. The feelings, making these mental decisions, and that's why it can contribute to mental health like issues and that. That's why I don't really tangents coming. I don't really advocate for that psychiatry route. They just want to pill you up, and we become a nation where, like I've mentioned on another pod, about people being reliant on pills and thinking the pills will fix them when they could do with like just talking about it, being active and taking the advice. Going to the gym or something. Not just that's the advice, like there's advice given in how to be like to get to where you want to be and leave behind who you don't want to be. Taking that advice, doing something like going to the gym, eating better, sleeping better, taking that away from your friends that are negative or that do these negative things and these behaviors that you find normal. Like, this will help the cognitive, because it's just these little bits of, I'll drop these little tidbits throughout because I can't just reel them off one by one. They'll come when they come. And that's how to like clean up your mentality, really. Not your mentality, don't want to say that. You have a better mentality by cleaning up like your mental health, having like thinking healthily. Do you know what I mean? Be mentally healthy. Yeah, so the lies and stuff. Where was I going with that? I ain't editing this out. It's staying in. The burps will be up there soon. What else? Yeah, just the lying and that. Can't think where I was flipping going with that. But yeah, just to throw my dad in there as well. He lied as well, so I couldn't trust him. So men and female, or females and males, if I'm talking about my mum and my dad. Couldn't trust my mum, because obviously that was one of the things where I wasn't talking about internalizing and doing that stuff. With my dad, he'd lie. He'd never be on time. He promised that we're going to go here, there and everywhere. WrestleMania, fucking Disneyland Paris, Florida, this and that. Never went. The time. Give me a date as well, you know. Man, I said like, yo, we're going on this date. This date we're going. That date comes. I'm like, oh, waiting, ready, like, so something to happen. I don't think I've packed or anything, but I'm just waiting. It's always, I remember with my dad, bare like, waiting, anticipation, waiting, excited, waiting. Anytime I hear a car running into the kitchen, looking out the window, I mean, boom, waiting. It's not his car. It's not coming. Half an hour's gone. Boom, 40 minutes. Get a phone call. What, 5 minutes? I've all been waiting like an hour and something now. Or sometimes it's like, I'm not coming. I can't come now. Like, fathers, that there destroys the kids. Destroys them. Trust me. You know, say that's happened to you as well, some of you. And you know it's made you feel. So don't do that. Make proper arrangements and cancel accordingly. And give an adequate reason. You know them ones. And it can't be because you just bust up or something, you know, them ones there. Like, but don't be around your kids bust up. I wouldn't advocate for that either. So if you have to, you have to. But be, you know, plan accordingly. I'm going to get this drunk, or I'm going to get drunk on this day. I'm going to go out this day. Make everything. But I've got the, yeah. Waiting around, and then a massive feeling of like disappointment, upset, sadness. Just I can just remember like when it hit me, it was like, boom. Just once I know it's not coming, I realise it's not coming. I get told like it's like I just fall down a cold, dark, dank well. Just boom. That's why I'm at emotionally. And then my mum, like she'll be in one of her good periods, and she tried to comfort me like, oh son, don't worry about it, this and that. And I'd just be like, yo, shut up, yo. You don't know my dad, this and that. 'Cause I seen him, it was my hero. My dad was my hero. No one could like, do you know what I mean? But then you do have that kind of relationship with your dad, because the absent parent doesn't really do no wrong because they're not there. And then it's like the parent that's there all the time, you know, it is up and down, that's life. It's not like they're doing things wrong. It's everyone makes mistakes. If you're not making mistakes, I don't think you're trying hard enough, you know, the ones, because we learn from our mistakes. If we cast our eye on what's gone wrong, do you know what I mean? So there is no failure. That's where you get the growth. Anyway, so then I'd turn on her and this and that, and I can only imagine it being really hard for my mum, really hard for any mum that's going through that, you know what I mean? It's a bit upsetting now thinking about it, like, but yeah, and then that me being a contributor at that young age to her mental decline, which is slowly going down. It took like a massive dive, but it still went down, and it's just been going down ever since. And certain things make it take a nosedive, and then it's still like on a downward slope. So my mum's, I don't know where her flipping head's at really, but it's slowly coming up. We're slowly working on building her back up. So yeah, that's like the trust issues and the unreliability that I've internalized as a child, not really knowing, it's all unconscious that I'm receiving this. So straight away, don't trust people lie, people chat shit, people let you down. I'm internalizing this. And I'm being that's neglect that, like, you're neglecting, like, that's neglect as well. So I'm internalizing all this and not really knowing. And I'm not being able to express or process first. Can't process it, can't express it, or can't express it to process it healthily. So when I'm expressing it, it's coming out in a mad one, as you man will know, and girl. Not with me, with yourselves. Look at yourselves, don't look at me. Yo. Like a bastard, yeah. Anyway, joke me, everyone. Anyway, So yeah, relationship instability. So what I began to realize with this blueprint thing is, so my mum with her mental health decline, her depression, anxiety, she displays certain behaviors. So as I was saying earlier, I remember now that like I used to cry, I'd just be crying, I'd be sad, no one to turn to, like dad's not there. I'd ring him up, dad, please come get me, come help me. Wouldn't come. I'll be there in a bit, son. Like I'll come on Tuesday. It's like Friday. I'm dying. I'm literally torn to shreds inside with what's happening with my mum. Do you know what I mean? I don't really know what's happening anyway. I'm confused. Confusion would like generally leads to anger or sadness. Like I'm confused. I've just been confused most of my life. Do you know what I mean? Because I couldn't work out what's going on. I'm still a bit confused with it now, but nowhere near as bad as I was. No one's coming to help me. Brothers, they just come and go because, like I said, they're big man now. Like they don't even live. As soon as they could move out, I think they moved out. They spent bare time in jail. Like so, there was just never really in the house. It was always I was like an only child. Do you know what I mean? Because brothers they never played with me or anything that I can remember. Especially one, like the oldest one, he never was around me really. Like it's almost like a man didn't like me. You know them ones. But my middle, like the one I booked, like the one that was in between, the 9 year, who was 9 years older than me. He presents. I don't know about toys, not presents. Sorry, cards. Always birthday cards, Christmas cards. Always very thoughtful to his degree. And then the teething started off me and my mum and singing this. Our household could never move nowhere. Our household could never build because he kept robbing either money or things. And then the little money that my mum was getting was replacing the things that we've already had when you're supposed to have these things. It's like laying bricks, yeah? You're laying your first lot of bricks. And when you turn your back, my mum's pulling bricks up. So how far are you going to get in building this wall or this house if every time you turn your back or every time you sleep, someone's taking bricks? And it's not just someone, it's you're someone that's taking these bricks. Do you know what I mean? So my mum always feels like super unsupported. She's always been like kind of different to her family. And yeah, like, I mean, the fathers are just, and then the kids, like, it's just mad. It's just a mad thing for her anyway. I started to understand. That's what I'm going to get with this. So yeah, anyway, so that's another thing. I can't trust people, no one. Because brothers taking things. One brother don't care, he's cold. He's just, next brother, he's like, 1 minute is all right, next minute he's teething things. He's like lulling you into like false pretenses of safety and then just teething because that's what manipulators do. So like there's bare sadness with that as well. Do you know what I mean? But then it started to turn to anger. Like I might be sad for like 90%. So it's gone from being sad for 100%, then sad for 90%, 10% angry. 80%, 20% angry, sad for 70%, 20%, and then it's just become instantly, like as soon as I'm like 0.1% sad, boom, I'm 99.999 angry. Do you know what I mean? And that's how it happens. That's why people with anger issues, that's where it's come from. It stems back. If we trace it back, it traces back to sadness, in formative years or like childhood, generally. So yeah. So that's where that kind of started. And then, so I'd be like, but it won't be any kind of anger. The way I'm reacting to my mum, it wasn't like the neighbours or the person up the street or the person on the other side of the world. I realised that I was responding to my mum as she was to me. We don't look at ourselves until we look at ourselves. And when we look at ourselves, I think, oh, when I'm able to like empathise and put myself in other person's shoes, so I'm like looking through their eyes. So like, I'm just like under TC, I'm under therapy now, looking through my mum's eyes at me in a situation that I've always looked at it from my point of view. I've always looked at this point, like these things from my point of view. Obviously, it's my life, my eyes, my experiences. But then this empathy thing come up. We'll talk about empathy like possibly on the next thing, still on the next pod, in its entirety. My interpretation, how I worked through it and how I gained it, because they said I didn't have none, I was callous. I think it was right. Anyway, once again, big up the man, them, like, the big up the two guys, you know, that like I went to prison for, because this thing changed my life. These things changed my life, yeah. I'm tangenting again, so just, you know me already, so just get used to it, please. Like, so these man allowed me the whole situation just mad. Like I said, apologize, and it just allowed me to grow. And then while I was on the TC, because I was so like infatuated with it and like so like passionate about it, I was learning quick. I'm like garnering bare information of staff, like clinical staff, regular staff, all the people that have been there for time. I'm talking to new people, see what their stance is. I'm looking at myself to death. To death. Do you know what I mean? I'm buying bare books, I'm getting bare literatures like sent in. People having to like print loads and loads of things off the internet and they're sending it me in, so I'm gaining like that kind of knowledge, like the book smart side of it. Do you know what I mean? So I'm seeing bare practicalness. Like I'm learning about like something and then I can literally see it in I'm a different man plus myself. Do you know what I mean? And then people that know it about themselves are relaying on the information. You're just getting armed up to death. I was soaking it in and I helped bare people on there. Like they're telling me, yo, Marcus, you know what? Because of you, I mean, so obviously I look a type of way, they're expecting a certain thing. Man starts talking and it's like, rah, but I'm not just talking this thing. They see me doing this thing. They see me in situations with a man. Like I'm past the Breville smashing heads off things now. Man are getting rude. I'm like, listen, I'm just disarmed. And I'm just talking like, bro, this ain't the real, like, I'm just talking it down. De-escalation skills I learned. Never, ever de-escalation. That's a pussy thing back in it, like, do you know what I mean? But like, I started to get a bit of kick off, like being able to like de-escalate information, like de-escalate situations. So yeah, so because of these guys, I was able to help others and obviously be able to get out and continue that with some of the work that I do with the jobs that I have. And the pod, hopefully. You know what I mean? Shout out all you, man. When I say man, I mean everybody. It's like saying you guys. Shout out everybody. Man, girl, everything. The whole of the spectrum. So yeah, me a tangent round there. So I began to see that I was behaving like my mum. And that's who I was. That's how it looked. So then I'm starting thinking about Jeremy Kyle. And I'm thinking, rah, like when you see like, especially like a mum and a daughter, I can see it mainly in mums and daughters on Jeremy Kyle. And then, especially even if they're on the same side. So if the mum and the daughter's against like, I don't know, the daughter's baby father or something, or another family member, they're both like, yeah, and they look exactly the same. The way they're behaving, the way they're shouting. Obviously, the mum's like 40s, 50s, daughter's like 20s, 30s or whatever. So obviously, the mum started this thing that like the daughter's seen the mum do it, and that's how. And I thought, I don't know why Jimmy Calcott, but it just did in that moment. I don't think I was even watching it at the time. I don't mean in the moment, but around that period of my life. And I thought, rah, it's a thing. We behave like our parents do. And like my dad, yeah, no de-escalation with him. He's just a big brute. Like, I just know him to be licking like man down. Like, he was a bouncer as well. And like the stories that I'm hearing, this man is his people. And then I see it myself, like the guy is either happy or he's angry. Do you know what I mean? Or like just normal and angry. So he's come pick man up or whatever. Or the other times he comes and he's just an angry one and then you want to feel or the shout man or whatever and this and that. So it's like that's how you deal with things. You deal with people aggressively. Like this is what I'm once again picking up and internalizing. Like people aren't sitting me down and saying like, well, they are saying bits like if someone hits you, hit him and this and that, but they're not really showing me how to do it. Right, you get up, you get right in the face and you point. Do you know what I mean? And if they do anything that, you give them a slap, and if they react, you start fucking laying into them. Do you know what I mean? No one gave me the play-by-play. It was like if you do this one, if anyone does that, just don't kill them. Blah blah blah. Whatever. And yeah, but how to actually act, what you kind of, your body, like your behaviours are like your parents mean more time, or like your caregivers, I should be saying caregivers or something. So yes, all that's like locked inside, and like I say, if I bring it to the mandem, that's where it was unlocked, and that's where I started using it, because the traumas and the madness that man's going through and experiencing is coming out in the road. To be honest, I enjoyed the fighting, like I used to fight on nights out and stuff, and that's where I expressed all this, like this anger and neglect and rejection, this abandonment, this vulnerability just came out on somebody, even on the time of the thing that I'm saying got me locked up. Like these two men that I've been up a couple of times now, these two, my two victims kind of thing. Don't really want to call them that, but I don't want to mention the names either, because like it's not even what I did. You know what I mean? It's not about that. But yeah, so that's what was in there. But I never knew Like obviously when I go on the TC and I talk about processing stuff, I'm thinking that sounds like a laptop or something processing. Or food, processed food, like what? What do you mean process? But it's just understanding what's being said. So it's process stuff in the group. So like, it's like anyone want to take the group? A lot of people just like, because it gets heavy. If man say, yo, so Marcus, what about you? I'm thinking, oh my gosh. Prepare for some, because it's pressure. Talking about your things, especially when you're going back, when you start to unlock like your childhood and that, because these memories come back, these repressed memories, like, rah, that happened. It's like, it's heavy, you know, you're getting the anxiety, the palpitations, the fucking vulnerability is kicking in. Like I was like not crying, like I couldn't get the words out because I'm like proper like in that moment, because in my mind, as I'm like describing what's going on, I'm like, I can vividly see what's going on. But then these people are helping me through, like, don't worry about it, this and that. Then once I've said what I'm said, they might even stop me a little bit and say, like, right, okay, so this happened, this and that, but that person weren't right, or you, like, especially when you're a child, like, when you're a child, you've got no, like, real decisions, you know what I mean? Your decisions are made for you, and you're at the mercy of parents. So, being parents ourselves now, our kids are at the mercy of us. So when they go on and fuck with more time as possibly us, you know, we just don't like to see that they're behaving like us. It's easy to say, oh, that's what you're like your mum, or you're just like your dad. That ain't good, trying to say that. But they will be like that, because that's how people are. So pick your partners better. Pick people that aren't mad and going off wicked and bad and this and that. Do you know what I mean? Like, so then, because kids are going to pick you up because you are the blueprint. But hold tight everyone that's got kids and doing the best that they can in the situations that they're in, because we're all not in it there. Like, a lot of us like have kids young and that, and we just don't know what to do. Like, we weren't parented right, but we'll get to that stuff in a minute. So yeah, relationship instability. So that's like the main bits really, in terms of like, so, like, and because of like a lacking father, like that. So I've told you about my daddy, like a big strong guy, violent, intimidating. That's a gang. I've mentioned this before. That's what the law is of a gang. It's that strong male presence that men want, or that boys want, that young men want. Because we don't know how to act. Like me, I was raised with my mum. Brothers weren't there, so forget all that. But my mum's got like bare sisters, so I'm round bare other women when we go into like aunties' houses. They've got girls. They've got daughters. Their daughters have got kids. They've got daughters. Woolly for daughters. And there's some bound bare around, like neighbours, 2 girl. Do you know what I mean? 3 girl, 3 sisters. So I'm just around bare girl mainly. Do you know what I mean? A lot of my life. Or key parts and stuff. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not getting like, as I mentioned on the last pod, I'm not getting like raised right. But big up my mum. She, you know what I mean? Like I said, there's no, she's not a ragging thing. Working with what she could. Do you know what I mean? Because the drink, obviously, I spoke about this on the poor coping. It's coping. She was coping with what she's going through. You know, the ones there. So when I said she was in the hospital, I mean, I don't even know what you even call it, but like mental hospital kind of thing. And I think she came out early because she seen that I wasn't happy, but she wasn't ready. So to cope, just to get away from the feelings, we want to detach ourselves from the feelings. So then that's when we like hammer ourselves with, alhamdulillah, and hammer ourselves with substances, drugs, alcohol. And like I said, it's just to get away from the feeling. So that's what it is. That's what I began to learn to understand. Because I thought to myself, like, I used to hold, because of all that stuff I've just mentioned, yeah, I used to hold bare resentment towards my mum and my dad, yeah. And I'd text my dad sometimes. I'd be like, you fucking weren't there for me. I'm always in drink. I must have done it like 2 or 3 times. Both times, or all 3 times or whatever. Or most of them anyway. I swear I was drunk. But that's what happens, innit? We get drunk and then we start to like express how we truly feel. Do you know what I mean? Inhibition's gone. Now I'm moving scary, like some divvies. You know what I mean? Because we can't speak in real life. But then again, we can't speak to these people anyway because they probably don't want to hear it. Because people don't want to hear how shit they are. You know what I mean? Hey, you alright? Yeah. Do you know what? You're a fucking shit dad. You. Oh, cheers. Yeah. Go on, carry on. I'm gonna miss some more. Do you know what I mean? Emotions gonna kick up. You're gonna probably get defensive and that, or feel up. You know what I mean? Get angry. Like it's gonna just destroy it more. But we don't have to talk to these people and tell these people like that. I can go outside, like obviously, like I said, I was in a therapy. It was in the prison setting, and that's the only way I could have changed because I couldn't have gone to like therapy out here, and then like gone home with round my boys. I'm like, yo, them man, they're just like, it's what they say, they're trying to tell me this and that, me, like they're trying to tell me. I'd have been ripping the life out of people and that, like just denying everything. It wouldn't have worked. I might have said a few things that sparked my finger. Like if they got my interest, then it would have been slightly different. But because I was there and the sentence I was on, where I had to prove that I've changed for me to get parole and get released early, then I was on it. Do you know what I mean? First it was to get out, and then it was to better myself. So when I went to that TC, it was just to solely get out of prison early. When I got there, and I started seeing the changes and seeing people, like I said, like so I seen these two gangsters, Birmingham man, murder, and they're not going in like Birmingham man murderers, gang members. They're like talking sense. They're talking sense. They're talking about other ways to like quell this this beef that man's got with, and these two are just like two little scroats kind of thing. Hold tight them, but that's what they were in a sense compared to them. The hierarchy, prison hierarchy, road hierarchy, whatever, they was down here. Like, not even on my level, I'm not even big, but they was way big. And they're in some mad thing and they're like, oh, listen to the TC shit, it's all bullshit. And I'm thinking, this scrot, and then this serious man that I looked up to on road, this type of man I looked up to death, that's what I wanted to be. You know what I mean? That is these men encapsulated everything that a roadman wants to be. To a degree. You know what I mean? Not every aspect of them, but some of the big bits, the noticeable bits or notable bits, that's what man wanted. Yeah, and they're speaking that change, and that's one of the first things that boom, like you can change because look at the way these men are talking. These men should be kicking off. These men should be bowing down to man, but I see how this setup is. Big man have to calm down, and little man get to step up and be and speak. Because obviously the dominant ones are always speaking, and the you know what I mean, the little ones are always like, it's just how it goes in the dynamic, innit? Do you know what I mean? That's what an alpha is. So it brings the alphas kind of down, and it lets these others speak. Do you know what I mean? But it's learning everyone to speak in like a, what you could call MVC, like non-violent communication. Do you know what I mean? Like de-escalation. You're learning to speak from the heart. You're learning to understand where people are coming from. Do you know what I mean? And not just talking from your own feelings, trying to defend yourself and being defensive. You're open up enough to like be able to listen to people as much as it hurts and still give valid feedback, valuable feedback that's not attacking. You're not attacking people. Do you know what I mean? If they take it as that, that's on them. That's their stuff for them to deal with. But if you're delivering it in such a way, but it's so hard hitting that they're hitting it like it's hitting them wrongly, that's on them. What can you do? Right, man, I'm going on a tangent round and I forget what I'm talking about. What was I talking about? Where was I? TC, couldn't go on the TC. I need to start doing it. I need a pen and paper so I can write it down and see, make sure I stay on track on that. Non-violent communication. I couldn't have done it on the roads. You're bringing up my dad in that. Tell him about yourself. I'm going to find some mad tangents. I'm like tangenting off tangents off tangents. Yeah, tell him about yourself. But it's what was that about? I'm telling him about yourself. But, so the anger and resentment. I'm going mad. I need to stop these tangents. The anger and resentment, yeah? So that's me spilling out, bubbling over, doing that to him. Do you know what I mean? So obviously I wasn't scared no more. Wasn't scared for ages now. I just thought I'd tell him, do you know what I mean? Trying to intimidate him, I guess, to try and make him scared of me, to get something back that I think's been taken from me. Mad. But that's a reaction, innit? People are reactionary. It's all about becoming responsive and being able to respond to situations over reacting to situations. So yeah, then I started to realise, so the TC's unfolding, days, weeks, months are going by, whatever. And I'm starting to realise, like, they did their best. Starting to understanding that people are the culmination of their past. They can't be anything else but who they are. No, I'm not saying they can never be anything else, but who they are at that moment in time. If they're an arsehole, like, or even if they're a good person, anything that they are, there's a reason from the past. They might have not been taught. They've gone through some trauma. They've there's been an accident or something's happened to make them like that. So I thought, right, alhamdulillah. I don't know what it is about as soon as I get in this pod. I don't even burp in like regular life. I put round it though. But burping I don't like. And so I get in this pod and all of a sudden, like, body is just trying to embarrass me. Well done. You know what I mean? But anyway, alhamdulillah, you know what I mean? Where was it? Yeah, so I started to realise that they are just a combination of what's happened. So especially with my mum, who I could see more and start to understand that, right, she was like that because of the lead up to things that I touched on a little bit on the last one, like that ended up like that, and then a bit more today about her coping. It's a coping mechanism. And then an outside thing is like with men, like, you know, like their peers and that, like, you know, oh, I can't, like, and then being all hard and that, so you can't be. It's just all strange stuff that we have to like stick to these societal norms or our own subculture norms and whatnot. So then I'm thinking to myself, do you know what? They didn't go to the university of parenting to be the top parents. Because then I start thinking, why do I think that they weren't good parents? Because I'm thinking it's from TV programs, films, like cartoons that showed me what a family unit should look like. But I'm not getting that. I mean, I'm not getting tucked up in bed every night and a story read. I'm not getting, like, when something happens, sat down and spoken to and processing it in that moment. Do you know what I mean? I haven't got that person that I can, like, just go to, that confident, that rock. Because what is about my family as well, nothing stayed in our household. Like, you'd say something in confidence, but then someone's just going to tell someone else, and now everyone knows. It's like you shame. So you just don't talk. You don't talk no more. You don't tell nobody nothing. You keep it all inside, and it eats your way. Do you know what I mean? Because you don't know what to do with it. So only thing you know what to do is to express through violence and frustration. So it's not like they went to the University of Parenting and could be this idealistic parent, mum and dad, that I've always wanted. But they just thought, they've got their fucking degree, holding a degree that they've got after all these years of, like, you know, learning to be the best parent ever. Every person that gets a degree is just perfect. And it's not like they thought, little baby Marcus, nah, I'm not using that. And decided to be fucked up. They didn't throw away the perfection and just be fucked up. They weren't fucked up anyway. But I'm just saying, for example, they didn't do that and decide, like, no one's been to the University of Parenting. It's an on-the-job thingy. You're just thrust into it from your first child. And then things don't work out, like, you know, like it's just a different world now. It's not a cohesive unit, you know, there's no, like, real guidance. Everyone just is what they are. Do you know what I mean? The community spirit, the village mentality is gone. We're a big city people now. We're just our own individual households. There's no real anything. You look crooked. Well, I have my split ends. I have my split ends cut off. You see? So that's what started to make me, and that was like, those, like, two things, like, they're just like everybody, and everybody's just the combination of their story, and they didn't, like I say, go to the University of Parenting and fuck off, just fuck it off and say, you know what, fuck this, I'm not raising Marcus like perfect, I'm just gonna do whatever. They didn't do that. It wasn't a conscious choice to be what I've classed as bad. Do you know what I mean? They were just doing the best that they can do. So that just, this resentment and anger, frustration I've carried, and sadness overall, really, was just, like, dissipating through this realization. So that's why I've kept saying over, like, the past couple pods, my relationship with my parents has got better because I changed. Like, it's not to say that they haven't changed as well, because we all grow at the end of the day. I was in jail for 6 years. That's a long time for people to move on, because we're moving possibly into, like, a new decade of life. Or further into a decade of life, so we're more enriched. We're constantly enriched with life, whether it's negative or positive, or how we take it. Because bad things happen to me, but it's how I deal with it now, how I cope with that. You know, I don't tend to drink, I don't tend to drugs, I don't tend to partying, I don't tend to, like, negative friends, I don't tend to revenge. Because I've got a plan in place, my decisions are dictated by how it's going to affect me immediately and in the future. Like, I need to stay on this path because I've got things I need to do. Do you know what I mean? So it's a pretty simple decision, certain things right now. And obviously I understand how they've impacted me there. So I understand me That's the best understanding you can have, understanding yourself. Like, I was like that because of this, and when this happens, I do this. Does that help me out? No. What else can I do? These things. I choose these things over that. So yeah. So then relationship instability, how it leads up to that with everybody else in your life. So they're my main two like blueprints with male and female, mum and dad, brothers as well, kinda. So like with women, I've kind of always like chopped and changed my women because partners. Because when neglect and rejection, I don't really want to get too much into rejection, but they're massive. Rejection is massive. Rejection is not just going up to a girl and they're rejecting you. That's where it's used the most. And when people think of rejection, you think of that kind of that. Rejection is, alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Rejection is any no. Not tonight, mate. You're not getting in the club. You can't afford that, like, your car's being declined. You can't afford that, like, car. You can't do this. Like, any you can'ts or no's. Like, even trying to get onto your laptop or like your game or something and you're locked out, that's rejected. You get the feeling of rejection. And which is ultimately sadness. It's a feeling of sadness, I would say. So when we're hit with this rejection, I don't really want to go into rejection right now because I'm going to have a pod on that specifically. But yeah, so when I'm with a partner, if everything's not going like swimmingly to my specifications or to my preferences, and she does something or she did something that was anything off like the scripts that I'm used to or that I want, that I haven't even like explicitly said. I'd never tell these girls what I want because I feel like I'm giving too much away. Like, I just said nothing. They wouldn't know. Like, so when they've done something wrong, they know because I'm like in a mood now, or I'm walking out, I'm putting the phone down, like I'm doing a madness because they haven't done what I've said. I'm feeling neglected then because what I wanted, the need or the things that I wanted aren't getting fulfilled. So unfulfilled needs is like neglect. Now, when you think of neglect, you're thinking NSPCC adverts, you're thinking flipping battered dogs, RSPCA, or whatever, like all this like extreme stuff. But neglect there's varying levels and degrees of it. So like these little split second like rejection, like what? You're thinking like, fuck that. Can't trust this person. Because I'm transported back to child. You don't really know this is happening. This is what they call an unconscious process. But that is the process. I'm expecting certain things in life. I'm not even saying it. I'm not saying it now. I'm just not telling anybody. Like, nobody knows what I really want. The girl does what she normally does, which is fine. She's not doing anything wrong. She's just doing what she does. Like, but that's just not what I expected. And expectations is another one as well. It's not what I expected. I didn't like it. I won't say anything about it. I don't want to talk about it, work on it or anything. It's like these girls have to be perfect from start to finish. It shouldn't be finished, but there is always a finish. You know what I mean? Perfect from start to finish. If they do anything that deviates off what I expect, that I haven't even told them what I expect. You know what I mean? I see it a lot on like TV now, like, what do you expect from a girl, or what do you expect from a partner, or from a man, or this and that, like, and they're saying it out loud, and I never knew really what I wanted. Do you know what I mean? I don't think anyone really did, to be honest. But it's a different world now. It's mad. It's not bad. It's just different. And yeah, any deviate, she's gone. There's the next one. Do you know what I mean? Like, or like that I'll put more time. She's like number one. I admit that one's number one now. That one might come back around at some point, but she can't be trusted. She's just spare time or something. It was mad. Do you know what I mean? Not proud of any of this. That's just how I operated because of how I was raised. That's just how I seen women. I just couldn't trust them because of that. I didn't know. As for men. We've talked about the animals now, the women. Let's talk about the people now. That's not what I mean. You know what I mean? But yeah, so as for men, not once again, but if they were powerful, I respected them. If they were weak, I took the piss. Do you know what I mean? That's generally day to day. Now, if it come down to a fight, I wouldn't I wouldn't really want to fight the weak one because I know what I'm capable of. I'd want to the bigger power, whether they're big and powerful as in stature, their build, their or even if there was like little, but there was like G's, like there was like leaders. You know what I mean? There were alphas in their thing. I won't mind then, but if they were just like little dweebs, like you know what I mean? Like it's like bullying. I always seen it as bullying, especially if they were smaller than me. I think I won't get no ratings of this person. Do you know what I mean? But I think that's down to my dad. Big guy, you know, he's 6 foot, whatever. He's big and you know what I mean. So it's like these big guys that I want to attack, main like to go full force, like no, just unrelent. Do you know what I mean? I think it was him. It was him that I was picturing that I wanted to go for. And that's a lot of things. I was watching one thing one time on the news, BBC News. I was on a TC. It's got nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's where I was. But it was actively on my mind. All this stuff that I'm thinking about was on my mind. Then it had like some black youths from London on, and they were talking about why black youths kill black youths. Like these were like reformed gang members or whatever. Or they were early days. Like do you know what I mean? They started that like aura of the gang life, and I think the boss, not the boss, but like the leader of this like basically like this reform group from London. I think his son had been killed. Oh no, tell a lie. His son had been stabbed up 10 times, one of them bloody zombie, them big ZKs, you know them ones. But I think he was in that life anyway. And it was wrong place, wrong time allegedly for his son, because these youths are just anyone that they're catching on anyway like territory. Let's go in. But they were talking about, so these were black youths talking about other like black youths, like they think that because they what they seen their dads do who were black men, and that's why they're just perpetuating this like say it's like almost like hatred towards. So I thought, right, they can see it too. But mine wasn't just pushed towards black people. Mine was pushed towards anybody, like any man. So yeah, relationship instability. I don't want this one to go on too long, because I'm possibly going to be doing another one in a bit. And believe it or not, it gets tiring. It gets tiring. Yeah, I mean, tired. I need something to eat now, so I'm not going with that. I don't even know what I'm going to even do now. But yeah, so that's like basically what I'm trying to say to you is there's a blueprint from back in the day, so if you can see that, you can see where you get it from and how you are, because you might not really see how you are. But if you've got people that move mad in your lifestyle, like your mum or your dad or something, or your brothers, then that's possibly what you do. And it's looking at what we can do to move forward. I haven't really touched on what I did to move forward. So it's just realizing what makes it unstable. So that's what it was. So we're using that blueprint to see where I do go, like, funny, and my expectations, what expectations are, because expectations is massive. If you expect like someone to do something, let's go back to my dad. All of that, what I've just said about my mum and my dad, expects my dad to come take me to all these places, said, expect him to come on time. It didn't. Create sadness, rejection, all of that, neglect, abandonment. My mum expecting her to like get up in the morning, expecting her to make me breakfast, expecting her to like see me after school, expecting her to like make dinner when I come home, expecting me to like have a chat. None of that's done. When your expectations aren't met, they're just snapped like a flipping twig. Boom, thrown away. Do you know what I mean? It just kills you. So, and these girls aren't meeting my expectations. So then it's looking at what I expect and why I expect it. And these things still get broken, and I still do feel a certain way, but it's looking at right, it's not the end of the world. We can still make this work and then work on it with anybody. Like friendships are to be worked on, relationships are to be worked on. It's not just the one size fits all from start to finish. Everything's gonna be fantastic. Things gonna come up along the way because she was raised different, or you've got different expectations for whatever, through like whatever you consume, whether it's through like music or any kind of media. Any friends you've had, like anything that's influenced you, kind of thing. That's the kind of expectations you're gonna have on things. So even with your siblings and that, you'll have different, because you've got a lot of time with siblings, you've got different like friendship groups. So like your expectations, the bar moves, and it, you know what, you're not bothered about that no more. Like, so you're bothered about this now. So yeah, so it's just kind of looking at that. That's one of the main things with like relationship instability. But looking at my part, what made me unstable as well was obviously smoking weed all the time. Because 1 minute I'm sober, 1 minute I'm not. I'm two different people. 1 minute I'm kind of active. I've always been kind of motivated and hyperactive and stuff. And then I smoke and I'm like, can't be bothered, like, man, just gonna, it's like, what? So just if someone come chill, I can't even think that. That's why I'm not really chill with no one still. Like the man, I don't know what they're on really, but I don't really go around and big up the man them though. Because that two people thing, you can't really see it when you're in that lifestyle. But say I go check a man, and a man's not smoked yet, and a man's like, yeah, this and that, blah, 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 blah. And he's like active, having a decent conversation, and we're just catching up and reminiscing and that, and the man was smoking, and as the conversation's like, as the spliff's getting like sucked down, the conversation from them is just getting more like, well, no, less and less, should I say. It's just going down. It's like, it's like, forget this. It's like two people, but no one sees it. Do you know what I mean? Like, nah. So that's not good for me. Drinking, obviously, I know that I get I get aggressive. Inhibitions are gone. You know how it goes. Like, I haven't drunk properly like that and got pissed since I've been on the TC. Like, I won't get like that. Like, I don't plan to get like that anytime soon. Not say I'll never get like that, but I don't plan on getting anywhere near that. Because it has negative consequences for me. Like, so the weed will take away my motivation for me to want to do things. And I don't want to get into a habit of smoking every day because, like I say, life's just throw up stresses, but I just deal with it in a more proactive way that doesn't impact my next steps. There's no negative consequences, really. Do you know what I mean? The alcohol could just really just turn it upside down. I could end up in prison like that. Do you know what I mean? Forget all that. Like, it's not to that I will, but there's a possibility. So I'd rather minimize that possibility by not getting, like, super twist up. Do you know what I mean? And from my experience, like, as I got older, so I'm saying I enjoy fighting and that, I got to a certain age and I just wasn't really bothered. I kind of knew what I could do and it was just whatever. Tried to like half avoid it. But people will be people and test you. Do you know what I mean? So then obviously when your head goes, it's like, that's it now. And then there's like people are looking, you know what I mean? You're in prison. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, eh? But anyway, so we'll minimize that. The chance of that happening, going to certain places, minimize that by not drinking. Because I'd also switch on friends as well. So that's the relationship instability that I'm saying was inflicted on me. I was this guy now. So I'm talking like I'm not talking like I'm the victim. That's why it sounded all the way through like this happened to me and that happened to me, this happened. I'm not saying that's what's happened. I've absorbed it. And then everything that I've said that these people do, I'm doing. I'm late, I'm unreliable, I'm switching, I'm aggressive, I'm neglecting people. Do you know what I mean? I'm not meeting people's expectations. I'm the arsehole. You know what I mean? I am not the nice guy. I am the guy that, like, not all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like, no one's like this all the time. Do you know what I mean? But, you know, honestly, like, we exaggerated our worst bits because that's the bit to be worked on. You know what I mean? There's no need for me to work on my best bits because my best bits that people like about me are all right. Keep them. But the bits that have negative impact, the bits that are affecting friendships, relationships, alhamdulillah, they're the bits to watch out for. They're the bits to be worked on. They're the bits that were worked on. So yeah, relationship instability, man. But mainly compromise, I've learned. I could start talking about my BM on this one. Like, compromise is a big thing. Like, not just having it my way. I could go into like controlling and domineering behavior as well. But we'll keep that for the next one. But yeah. Hopefully that's wrapped up. If not, I can always touch on it again. You know what I mean? But I'm trying to stay consistent with the pods now. Just gonna stay on top of it. Like, it's something I enjoy. I enjoy ranting and raving. Hopefully it's like coherent. But because I'm so backed up in terms of not doing this for a while when I should have been, I'm trying to cram things in. I want to say more. I've moved on with my own mentality. So like, I'm trying to put old things in with new things. I'm trying to like, so it's all crisscrossed up. Do you know what I mean? But that's how I was anyway. Do you know what I mean? So when I'm on the TC, I'm talking about things. They're putting it in order for me. You know what I mean? But I'll talk about the TC like in full on the next one. Anyway, Marcus, DQ&Q Lifestyle Podcast.